Hello everyone, welcome to this channel. Today we'll be discussing a somewhat controversial topic, Donald Trump's policies towards Palestine, and how his actions have changed the face of Middle Eastern politics. Trump often describes himself as a master negotiator, someone capable of striking big deals, even calling his plan the deal of the century. But are his policies truly bringing peace, or are they deepening the conflict? Let's explore this together. Before Donald Trump, nearly every U.S. president attempted to mediate in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Bill Clinton pushed for the Oslo Accords.
We who have fought against you, the Palestinians, we say to you today, in a loud and a clear voice, enough of blood and tears. Enough!
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
George W. Bush introduced the roadmap to peace, and Barack Obama often emphasized the two-state solution, despite his often strained personal relationship with Benjamin Netanyahu.
The core issue right now is, how do we get a sovereignty for the Palestinian people, and how do we assure security for the Israeli people? And that's the essence of this negotiation. And that's not to say settlements are not important. It is to say that if we solve those two problems, the settlement problem will be solved.
The U.S. has consistently positioned itself as a mediator. Yes, it tends to be pro-Israel, but it maintains lines of communication and provides substantial assistance to Palestine. In this way, the U.S. can be seen as relevant in the peace process. However, when Trump came to power, this pattern changed drastically. He chose a more frontal approach, openly siding with Israel while pressuring the Palestinians in an unprecedented way. Trump's most historic and controversial decision came in 2018, moving the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Why is this important? Because the status of Jerusalem is at the heart of the conflict. Israel claims the city as its capital, while Palestinians see East Jerusalem as the potential capital of their future state. By moving the embassy, Trump recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital.
As I said in December, our greatest hope is for peace. The United States remains fully committed to facilitating a lasting peace agreement, and we continue to support the status quo at Jerusalem's holy sites, including at the Temple Mount, also known as Haram al-Sharif.
This had been a long-held Israeli dream, and Trump officially granted it. For Palestinians, this move was seen as a betrayal. They believed the U.S. had lost its neutrality as a mediator. Massive protests erupted in Gaza and the West Bank. Clashes with the Israeli military killed dozens.
What a glorious day. Remember this moment. This is history. President Trump, by recognizing history, you have made history. Over a century ago, the Balfour Declaration recognized the right of the Jewish people to a national home in this land. And exactly 70 years ago today, President Truman became the first world leader to recognize the newborn Jewish state. Last December, President Trump became the first world leader to recognize Jerusalem as our capital. And today, the United States of America is opening its embassy right here in Jerusalem. Thank you, President Trump, for having the courage to keep your promises.
The global reaction. The majority of countries rejected the decision. The UN General Assembly even passed a resolution condemning the U.S. move. But Trump remained unmoved. He declared, "We are simply recognizing reality." For his political base at home, especially evangelicals and the pro-Israel lobby, this decision was a major victory. Trump didn't stop at Jerusalem. He also targeted vital financial aid for Palestine. The United States has long been a major donor to UNRWA, the UN agency that provides education, healthcare, and food aid to millions of Palestinian refugees. In 2018, Trump decided to cut off over $300 million in annual funding. The reason? UNRWA was deemed inefficient, and the Palestinian refugee status was deemed too long maintained. The impact was immediate. Thousands of schools in Gaza and the West Bank were underfunded. Health clinics closed. Millions of refugees lost basic access. For Palestinians, this was collective punishment. They faced not only a political conflict but also a more severe humanitarian crisis. Trump hoped this economic pressure would force the Palestinian leadership to negotiate according to his peace plan. But in reality, Palestinian trust in the U.S. was shattered.
ايش اللي صار يا حاج؟ ايش اللي صار؟
Despite the failure of the deal of the century, Trump achieved significant diplomatic success through the Abraham Accords. In 2020, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Morocco, and Sudan signed agreements to normalize relations with Israel. Trump facilitated this process and called it a historic peace. For Israel, this was a remarkable achievement. More Arab states officially recognized it.
I thank you both for your wise leadership and for working with the United States and Israel to expand the circle of peace. I am grateful to King Hamad of Bahrain and to you, Foreign Minister Abdul Latif Al-Zayani, for joining us in bringing hope to all the children of Abraham. To all of Israel's friends in the Middle East, those who are with us today and those who will join us tomorrow, I say, Assalamu alaikum. Peace unto thee. Shalom.
But for Palestine, these agreements felt like abandonment. For decades, the Arab world had committed that normalization with Israel would only occur with Palestinian independence. The Abraham Accords shattered that consensus. Now, Arab states prioritize economic and security interests over solidarity with Palestine. As a result, Palestine has become increasingly isolated. Donald Trump promised to bring the best deal, but in reality, his policies have only strengthened Israel's position and weakened Palestine's. The embassy moved to Jerusalem, aid cuts, the deal of the century, and the Abraham Accords. All these steps have changed the face of the Middle East. Does this bring peace? Or does it prolong the conflict? The answer depends on which perspective we look at. For Israel, Trump is the president who has provided the greatest support. For Palestine, Trump is the president who has closed the door to hope. And for the world, Trump's policies mark a shift. America is no longer seen as a neutral mediator, but as a party that chooses one side. The big question, after Trump, is there a path back to a just peace process? Or will the world now have to accept the new reality, that a two-state solution is increasingly difficult to achieve? That remains a big question to this day. For the Palestinian people, this journey is not over. Even if aid is cut off, even if the land is increasingly divided, and even if the doors of diplomacy seem to be closing, hope can never be killed. That hope lives in every child still in school with their mother, in every family that perseveres even though the world seems to be changing. And for the world, this is a call to conscience. The question is no longer about politics, not about who wins or loses, but about justice. Are we willing to watch a nation slowly disappear, or do we have the courage to stand up and demand true peace, before this conflict leaves lasting scars for future generations? History will judge us, and perhaps, one day, the world will remember that justice for Palestine was not only their struggle, but also a test of our humanity. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so more people can hear this story.